Waiver time. It's Friday, maybe Saturday when you're listening. Jon and John back. 5 weeks, no misses. We are hitting them all. I think this is further than I made it with waiver stuff last week. So thanks to John Allen doing most of the work here. Much appreciated. John, how are you feeling? You good?
I'm a little tired. My number one, while I love my fantasy baseball, I also love my NFL draft. I had dreams when I was younger of being in the next Mel Kiper Jr., but those dreams have been unfulfilled. But I have to stay up all night and watch it anyways. And then
Who's your team?
The Buffalo Bills, unfortunately.
Could be worse.
Lived through 4 straight Super Bowl losses. It's a little.
You lived through that.
Yeah,
when was that? Well, that might have been in the 90s.
Yes.
80s. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Late 80s, early 90s.
All right. So I was being born. Wasn't quite paying attention, but. The draft's in Pittsburgh. That's been. I was kind of flipping back between that and the Pirates game last night just to see. I used to work in that big glass castle-looking building, the PPG building. Wow. Still, I think technically when I work, I'm still connected through. Probably not anymore. It's probably all in the cloud. But I think my traffic at some point goes through Pittsburgh, so I still kind of work there. But I worked on the 5th floor of that glass building, which was fun. But
yeah, it's amazing to me. I remember watching for the first time that I could watch it on ESPN, and it was in like a Marriott conference room.
Yeah.
with like a bunch of guys in suits smoking and sitting around tables, and now it's this massive show. It's just
good old days, man. I know they got to monetize everything. We need to bring back cigarettes and less showy, less money involved. But so football, we're gonna have a section of MLB Data Warehouse called NFL Data Warehouse, because I'm a big fantasy football guy too, like naturally, right? So maybe you can help me out on that. I don't know if you're into normal fantasy football or more just draft stuff.
Yeah, no, I'm sure you could hit me up for that. Right. One of the things that's my great debilitating thing in fantasy football is that I'm usually about a year or 2 early on a guy.
Yeah,
I've been watching them since they were in college, so I think they're going to hit, and they don't. So
well, they still brag about it a couple of years later. Yeah.
Yeah, until they're on somebody else's team, of course.
Yeah. All right. My dream is that somebody else would take my audience and get like a $1 million fantasy football newsletter going, and I don't have to do anything, and I get half the money. So, but dreams
often see if we can make those dreams come true.
Dreams often don't come true. Baseball, though. So we wanted to mention this one more time. I've been saying it just to try to get people ahead of it. 2 games in Mexico City, I believe. This weekend, Padres, Diamondbacks. Just in case anybody doesn't know, for fantasy, like practical advice, get the hitters. Don't start the pitchers. I don't know who it's going to be. I think it's going to be German Marquez, and some like the Diamondbacks don't really have. Soroka just went. He might be the only guy you have on a fantasy team. So anyway, if you have a Padres or Diamondbacks pitcher, do not start them there. And if you have any hitters, or if you can add 1 or 2, Sheets, Cronenworth, Lourdes Gurriel, Alec Thomas, maybe. I don't know, you want to go like crazy like that, but
we'll have a guy in here.
What's that?
We have a guy in our list.
Okay, good. So yeah, hop on that guy first. But if you didn't know, this park is a complete joke, and it's probably not going to reflect in my daily projections because I don't have this park in it. It's just going to assume it's a game in Arizona, and since it's on a Saturday, Sunday, I doubt I'll have the time or the real motivation to go like tweak the park factors for these 2 games. But basically this stadium in Mexico City, the best way to say it is it's Great American Ballpark in the mountains at like a higher elevation than Coors Field. And they played 4 games there. I think they've done this the last 2 years. And the average run total is like 17 or 18. Like, and even if you don't bet, it's useful to go look at the game lines and just see like the over-unders. This is even useful in Wrigley Field when this crazy wind stuff is going on. Just go look at the game totals, and that tells you a lot. Like if you ever see a game with a 12.5 over-under, you probably won't unless it's a Coors Field game, which we'll know about. But that's a good sign to like be easy with your pitchers, and you're going to see that. Like I would guess the totals for these 2 games are going to be 13.5, 14.5, or something like that. It's just, it's nuts there. So it's 2 games. I don't know if it's worth burning like a valuable ad or any kind of fab money for a 2-game thing, but there's going to be a bunch of games there. And then I was just thinking like how it's so unfair to these pitchers. And then I remembered they played that London thing a couple of years ago. Remember that? The Red Sox played somebody in London, and the park was just like, I think it was like the corners were super shallow, and some pitcher that a lot of people had, Red Sox pitcher, I couldn't remember who it was, got shelled for like 12 runs or something crazy like that. And it's just like, I get it. They want to expand. That's what we've seen in all these sports. The NFL is playing 8 games in London and Europe next year, and they play one still. So it's just getting more and more. But like these parks are obviously weren't built with major league games in mind, supposedly. So interesting stuff there, and that'll be at least fun to watch the runs pile up. So hopefully you have some Padres and Diamondbacks. I added Cronenworth and Sheets in my home league. We only have 5 ads a week, and I used 2 of them right out of the gate to get those 2 Padres without much help so far, but maybe they'll make up for it. And then good spot for like Fernando Tatis to get going.
Yes, finally.
Yes, but maybe not. Maybe he's
still 0 home runs for Fernando. What is going on?
Yeah, that is weird. Total DFS trap, fell into that. He was like $6,000 almost on DFS for cores, and I played him both times or all 3 times. He did nothing. But waiver wire stuff, we've got shallow league pitchers, deep league pitchers, shallow league hitters, deep league hitters. But first, a lot has changed on the relief pitcher side. People are probably already kind of aware. All this is a few days old, so serious fantasy players will have adjusted. But let's talk about that real quick just to get people up to speed. The Dodgers lost Edwin Diaz.
Yes.
And what's the situation there?
It is all over the place. And the interesting thing is that it could be that the Dodgers are going to go back to the guy that they signed 2 years ago to be their closer, Tanner Scott.
Yeah.
He got the first save since Diaz went on the IL. So he's of interest. Alex Vesia has been one of their main setup guys. You could see him sneak in and get some saves, but I really think if they were smart, they would move Roki Sasaki to the closer role, or at least to the bullpen, because he has proven 2 things. 1, he's not a very effective starting pitcher, and number 2, in the playoffs he debuted in the bullpen and he looked pretty good. So
right.
Yeah, they're paying him so little. I was looking it up. They're actually paying him $800,000 salary this year.
And getting their money's worth
because of the way they set it up. So I mean, they spent $72 million, I think, on Scott, and then they spent another 90 some odd or 100 on Diaz, and they're getting absolutely nothing from them. So
and that was because Sasaki wasn't old enough to qualify for a major league contract. So I don't know. It seemed like he would get a couple of years of the minor league deal, and then he would be so good that the Dodgers would just give him the big contract eventually. But at this point, he's not worth hardly anything. The Twins lost Durant.
Phillies
lost Durant. Sorry.
Durant. Brad Keller, next man up. He was a closer at times for the Cubs last year, and that helped him get that 2-year, $22 million deal with the Phillies. I would expect that he's going to be the guy closing games for them, as Jose Alvarado has been wild at best. So Keller probably your best bet for saves there in Philadelphia.
But they have to win.
There's that.
And they haven't done that. No one in the AL and no one in the NL East wants to win. I guess Atlanta is winning, but yeah, Mets, Phillies. I guess the Mets have shaken it off 2 wins in a row, but the Phillies quietly have lost a bunch of games too. So
9, I believe, is where they were.
Yeah, goodness. Well, all the NL Central is taking all the wins, which is annoying for me. But and one more, the Mets. It's nothing happened yet, but Devin Williams, just to get ahead of it, maybe I don't know. He has a 32% K rate, which is really good.
Yes.
And he's only given up one home run, so it doesn't seem like this should be a problem. But the ERA is at 10.29, and the Mets are kind of like the Mets have to be as panicky as you can be on April 24th right now.
Yeah, and they just got Soto back, and then they lost Lindor.
Big time.
It's trouble times in New York. I mean, Williams last year struggled with the Yankees. This year he signs with the Mets. He's struggling again. But then again, it's not like anyone's really doing anything for the Mets. So if you have the opportunity, he may be a buy low target to jump on, because he basically played this out last year where he was just so awful they even took him out of the closing role with the Yankees, and then eventually brought him back, sort of, but not all the way. But at least he put up solid numbers the rest of the season.
Yeah, it's still strikeouts are there. I mean, I don't know. I guess some guys can get the strikeouts, but they're just so wild that like the walk rate's high, and then there's like this whole component of in zone location. You know, like a walk rate is one really easy way to see, okay, this guy doesn't have command. But sometimes, I guess, when you don't have command, that means sometimes you miss out of the zone entirely, and sometimes you just throw it right down the middle. And maybe, you know, but Williams has a 200 expected batting average against. He's given up a 296 BABIP, which I guess that's kind of surprising. I thought that'd be really high. Did I say 1 home run? He's given up 5 home runs. I don't know what I was saying there. So I'm on the wrong dashboard. Sorry. I'm all messed up. Devin Williams, I agree. Maybe the Mets will give him a break or something like that, but for me, I agree with you. Like, some people are going to Luke Weaver or whatever. I think you just kind of try to get a discount on Devin Williams.
Yeah, I don't see where the Mets are going to go because they really don't have a replacement. Weaver's been almost as bad as Williams. So,
right.
I think they have to stick with him and ride it out.
619 BABIP for Devin Williams. So let me correct that. That was last year what I said. So I mean that's 619 on I can't tell how many balls in play, but 7 innings, so probably 1.5 balls in play per inning, you know, up to 20 balls in play or something like that. So Devin Williams looks somewhat fine. I don't say that super confidently. He's given up a lot of barrels and stuff, but that's the closer situation. And then you got, you know, just as predicted, like Paul Sewald or somebody's leading the league in saves right now, right? Like,
of course, it is a world upside down when it comes to saves.
That's also false. I'm giving you a lot of bad information, but Mason Miller has 9 in a 0 ERA. Riley O'Brien has 7 in a 0 ERA, and then Sewald and Bednar are tied with 7 saves as well. So yeah, Sewald was like a free ad in week 1, and you haven't gotten. He's given up a few runs, 4.5 ERA, but a bunch of saves. So, going to be tough this weekend, like we said. But all right, let's start with pitchers, some shallow league pitchers. These guys are probably claimed, or I guess we got Fab weekend coming up where a lot of these guys will be available if you only do the once a week round. But Peyton Tolley, Connor Prelip, I'd say that's a top 2 for me. I would like to your takes on it. Again, in daily ads leagues, they're probably already gone, especially Tolley. Anybody sharp was on him well before last night, but he struck out 11, 1 walk. Just like the fastball is one of the best in the league, and now he's got this better mix. He's throwing more sinkers. The curveball looked really good last night. I don't know if you can bank on that going forward, but just a really, really talented lefty for the Red Sox. And you would think with the 1 outing, he should stay in the rotation. How about you? In Prelip, I'm not sure. People like him that are smarter than me, but to me, these 2 guys are definitely the priorities this weekend if they're available.
Yeah, I'm going to put Richie ahead of Prelip only because Prelip, a guy with 2 Tommy Johns.
Okay.
A lot more reliever risk, it feels like, with him because he's got less of a mix than the other 2.
Yeah.
Richie is a guy who he doesn't throw extremely hard. There's nothing fascinating about his pitches, but he has a good mix. He controls them all very well. He doesn't walk guys. He doesn't force unforced errors while he's on the mound. So he would be pretty much the direct opposite of Devin Williams in that he pitches to low contact, not high contact. And when you don't have extra guys on base, that's usually going to turn out to end up putting good numbers for your ERA and your ratios. So he's a guy. It's just a matter of whether the Braves are going to stick with him or not. They have a tendency to kind of bring these guys up and send them right back down again. So hopefully they're going to keep him up.
Yeah, I think Fuentes got demoted before he was even in the dugout. Like,
yeah, he didn't even get to take a shower. They just said, "Hey, go," which I guess can work because Atlanta and their AAA team are just down the road from each other.
Oh, okay. That helps. I guess that does make a difference. I don't really think about the geography of it all. But yeah, they said, hey, go use that AAA shower. Like, thanks for the 7 strikeouts, but we got to get Richie up for tomorrow. It was obviously planned. It wasn't about his performance. The move happened so quick that it was just, we need 2 starts here. We'll use them both. But Richie won round 1, you could say. I think he gets the next start. So, but Fuentes, I think, has the more strikeout upside, if that matters to you. But totally pre-lip Richie. Like, let's say you've got $100 in fab to spend. What are you putting out on Tolley? I mean, I'd be like pretty aggressive personally, 30-40% or something. Maybe that's nuts, but
yeah, I mean, if he's still available out there, you definitely want to get him. It'll be interesting. I'm in an AL only league, and we don't get to have guys on our roster who are not in the majors. So he didn't make the Red Sox out of spring training. He couldn't get him. So there'll be an incredible fab run coming this weekend to see where he lands.
Yeah, and pre-lip Richie less important, but they should be added this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, Richie, I think, would be almost up there with Tolley, except like I said, it's hard to tell what the Braves are going to do because they keep messing around their rotation.
Okay, I wouldn't put Richie near Tolley, but I don't pay as much attention to the minors and stuff. And I also do I definitely overestimate strikeout rate. Like I kind of just tend to look at strikeouts and walks, and there's more to pitching than that. Chase Dollander, I've talked about him quite a bit. I did a little solo podcast he came up in, so we're all kind of aware. The problem with this is that he's not starting games, so he's not getting on the probable starter list, so he doesn't show up in the tool. But I think he's on the road next, and I would say kind of a must add for road starts. But again, if I wouldn't use a lot of fab on him if you're looking for a guy that you're going to hold long term, because I still think he'll be kind of bad at cores. And
I mean, he was good this week, so
yeah,
maybe he's finally turned the corner in that as well. But yeah, like you said, it's hard to know when he's going to pitch. I mean, just look back as to where he was and go 5 days out, and that's probably where he's going to land. And if you're in a quality starts league, it kind of is a big bummer. But he has been showing more strikeout ability, and he has been limiting contact, which is something that wasn't happening last year. He was definitely a top-notch guy, top prospect, could throw near 100. So definitely a guy that was very interesting. Yeah, and as you can see here, had a very unfortunate season last year where strikeouts were only at 18.6%. Now he's at almost 31. Walks were at 11, and now they're down to less than 7. So
yeah,
much better.
Yeah, it's strange. Dollander, if he would have been picked by anybody else, he was a top 10 pick. He would probably be cruising, and he would have been drafted super heavily this year, but he was on the Rockies, which automatically knocks you down a lot. And then last year, couldn't even get strikeouts with all the stuff in the world he has, only a 19% K rate. That never made a lot of sense to me. I think I wrote him up as a pretty nice deep league target, but that's deep. So I don't know. I think I suppose just put him in your lineup and see what happens, but there's no guarantees here because of course. But yeah, I mean, big fastball, good secondaries too. It's certainly looking good. Couldn't ask for a much better start. I just don't really think you'll see a lot of 6 strong innings, 9 strikeouts at home, but who knows? The problem with this is we have such a little sample size on actually talented Rockies pitchers, but we've said that a lot of people are talking about Dollander. So let's, week 5 of Landon Roop here. People just won't add him. And I think a lot of it had to do with this Dodgers start he had this week. So people didn't really want to add him for the Dodgers. He walked 5, but 5 innings, 1 hit, 1 run, 7 strikeouts. He's looking really good. He's got a 2.28 ERA. Does Landon Roop with a 101 whip, a high walk rate, 11%, but the strikeouts are there. It's a 17% K minus walk, no home runs allowed, which that should be a good thing. And I think he'll get to go back home pretty soon. So we like Landon Roop.
Yeah, he's a guy, like I said last week, is not a guy who has generally pitched well at home, which is weird because most Giants pitchers pitch pretty well at home. So his win at home against the Dodgers, where he wasn't sharp because of all those walks, but I would imagine this is your last chance to pick him up. I think he'll be available after this week.
Yeah, he gets the Marlins Sunday at home, so that's a very nice matchup. And I think I agree. I think this will probably be the last time he qualifies. He's 40% owned on CBS, and that's where these ownership projections are coming. I gave up on ESPN and Yahoo. Like, we're going to use CBS. They seem to have much more realistic ownership rates. So you're at 40% on Roop, and after that he's at home against the Marlins, and then he goes to Tampa Bay, which is I still think that's a very good matchup. So Landon Roop looking good. We already mentioned Scott, Vesia, Sasaki, etc., Brad Keller, Devin Williams. So that's the shallow league pitchers. There's probably some more-ish guys. I don't know. It's more like at this level, we don't think there's a lot of other guys that could potentially be extremely good. Talked about Eric Getty last week. He looked very bad, the second one. So I don't know. You got some guys, but just play the matchups, the 2-start stuff, and whatever. I'm not saying this is an exhaustive list, but totally pre-lipped Richie, Dolander, and Roop are the pitchers that I think should be owned everywhere who are not right now. But deep league, we got some extra guys to talk about. Christian Scott, I put him on here. This was my put on my guy on the list. So it was horrible last night. I just think, I don't know, some nights you don't have your command. He had 5 walks. He lasted 1.1 innings. Didn't give up a hit, which I guess is easy to do when you're not throwing anything near the plate. So he doesn't really get credit for that. But he's got the minor league walks. He had, I wrote this morning this year, he had 2 walks in his first 13.2 innings. So I think that was a blip, a weird thing. I'm not saying he's great. I just think you can, whatever you thought about Christian Scott yesterday morning, I think pretty much think the same. What do you think about Christian Scott?
I mean, he spent all last year getting over Tommy John.
Yeah.
Your accuracy is usually the last thing that returns after Tommy John. They didn't pitch him at all last year, so
yeah,
he's only had the ramp ups in spring to get ready for this game. I'm sure he was probably super hyped about this game. That could explain part of the problem with the control. But yes, I think he's somebody that it'll be interesting because they're going to keep him up, so he's going to get another start. Hopefully, I mean, I don't know how it could go worse, so hopefully it'll go better. But he's a guy, yeah, like you said, whatever you thought of him before yesterday, you probably should still be doing the same thing and just take that as the blip in his pitching.
Yeah, if he had a 12% walk rate in the minors before this, then that would mean a little bit more to me. But I mean, the walks haven't been a problem. And then even in the majors in 2024, he made 47 innings in the majors, Christian Scott, with a 6.1% walk rate. So it wasn't a problem then. Good point about the Tommy John, that can kind of throw it up. But again, he wasn't walking guys in the minors before. So if you have him, I'd hold, see what happens next time. Peter Lambert, this is a long shot. We need to talk about this Riney Cornelio guy who I don't even know about, but I saw a pitcher list get excited for him, which is meaningful. But Peter Lambert first, I've written a lot about him too. Just 2 really good starts so far, but it takes 5 to 10 starts after it's this situation where he wasn't even he wasn't in the majors last year. He wasn't in the minors either. He was in Japan. Minor league deal with the Astros last fall. Wasn't really on the plan, I don't think, for them, but some injuries and stuff push him up to the majors, and he's got 2 good starts so far. Could dive in a little bit more on him, see if the stuff is a lot different or whatever. I haven't done that, but sometimes results tell you something, and maybe he's changed and figured something out. Maybe the Astros identified something. That's a deep league thing only. I wouldn't be confidently starting him, but let's go to Riley Cornelio. You can throw in something about Lambert if you had something to add, but tell us about Cornelio, who I put Nationals. That's right. He is on the Nationals. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, if he wasn't on the Nationals, I don't think he would be up at the moment. But
yeah,
not a guy who is a major prospect. Fangraphs had him number 41, although I think they just updated today, of course, after I looked that up. So we'll have to see where he lands there. A guy who last year started off in high A and ended the year in AAA. Started this year in AAA. He has been very solid. His K rate has picked up to over 12 strikeouts per 9, which is not something that he was known for. He's a guy who they drafted at TCU. Just kind of an average guy, but he has a nasty slider. The slider is the thing that's carrying him. Probably eventually, if you had a decent rotation, which the Nationals don't have, probably going to be a guy in your bullpen, but they're going to give him a look. We'll see what happens. I am interested from the sense that probably nobody had a very good book on him in the majors. So he might start off your 3 or 4 games pretty hot. So get interested, I guess.
Yeah, 95.3 mile an hour fastball. He's a big guy, 6'3", 195 or so. Weights change, especially because I think a lot of the Cornelio's new enough. It's probably a somewhat recent player info scrape, but 192 four seamers, 58% usage in AAA. Cornelio, 102 sliders, both pitches very good, 14.1% swinging strike rate on the four seamer, which is a very high for a four seamer, and the 29.4% swinging strike rate on the slider. So minor league hitters have had no chance against the slider. But we'll see how it plays. Again, like this was someone not on anybody's radar, but if you're in a deep league looking for some potential pitching, crazier things have happened. Sometimes these minor league guys just really improve over the winter, and you have no way of knowing that until you see it. So that's a good call out. And then I threw on Cade Cavalli just because I'm not, I'm pot committed. I just can't stop. I can't keep leading people astray on Cade Cavalli, but hear me out because let me make my case if I can pull it up.
Okay, well, I'm gonna have to tell you that I've been out for a while on Cade. Injured there, and it took him forever and a day to come back. Obviously, a former first-round pick, so he has some prospect pedigree, but I just don't know that it'll ever come together. But tell us otherwise.
10 strikeouts, no walks yesterday against the Braves. Unless that's right. I mean, it's on the board. It happened, I think. So
in the box one.
That gets the K walk up to 14%. And before that, this is early season things. He was at 6.5% K minus walk before yesterday, before the start on Thursday, and now up to 14%. 15% is the time we get interested. Still hasn't given up a home run. Walk rate's down to 10% after 5 innings. So it's not probably great, but he's got a good fastball and usually throws strikes, I guess. Maybe not so much this year. 12 walks in 24.2 innings. But, certainly he's not owned in your league because whoever listened to my advice, and I wasn't the only one, thankfully, your league was probably having Cavalli at the beginning, and then he ruined everything for 4 weeks. But, even the start before that, his last 2 starts, he's got 9 innings, 3 earned runs, 15 strikeouts, no walks. He's given up 14 hits. Not good, but the numbers last 2 have been pretty good, somewhat encouraging. And you never should give up on guys after 3 or 4 starts. If you liked them before the season, you should adjust, but not like crazy. So hitters, Mickey Moniak, this is 73% owned. I just threw it on there because he really isn't striking out anymore. He had a good season last year, kind of quietly, 2 home runs yesterday. Again, probably owned in any kind of serious league, but it's just like I wanted to just like give a thumbs up, a validation. Maybe not a road guy that you want to start, but I don't know. He's got power, got speed, looking really good. Again, like the strikeout rate stuff seems to be fixed because he was in the mid-30s in strikeout rate when the Phillies were giving him his final chances. But the Rockies, he's been better there. So
yeah, if he finally gets a chance to hit against lefties, we'll see what happens. That would be the last unlocking of Mickey, the former first pick overall.
Yeah, but against like a righty in Coors, like he's a very good start. Ahmed Rosario, you did this for me because I've been writing about him, but you put him in the deep league targets when you did this. I moved him up to shallow league, and it's too aggressive, but he's swinging the bat way harder. He's got it's got a very good barrel rate. I could pull that up. The steals aren't there anymore, which is kind of weird. Yeah. He was like a steal specialist for a few years there, but now
I saw them listing him at 230 pounds, and I was like, "Whoa, when did that happen?"
Maybe that explains the bat speed, but 13.3% barrel rate, slugging 558, 15.5% K rate. So he has not struck out more, along with the bat speed gains, which is a common thing to see. 410 expected WOBA, like he looks like a really good hitter, and he wasn't playing a lot at the beginning, but he's going to play now, I think. I mean, second base, third base. I guess Jazz is there, but Ryan McMahon, whatever. Like I think he's got.
The Yankees seem very committed to the fact that he's going to be the short side of the platoon at third base. The other day he had a home run in his first 2 at bats, and then they brought in a righty and they took him out and put in a pinch hitter, and then put McMahon in for the rest of the game. So that's why I can't get too excited about him in a shallow league. In deeper league, I can understand why you would want to get him. He's hot at the moment. I think his career high is 11 home runs in a season, so I'm not sure what we're seeing is real. But sometimes weird things happen when guys reach to about 30 and all of a sudden they filled out and they have reached their power peak. And sometimes they hit their power peak at 31. So we'll see.
I think sometimes they just like Andrew Benintendi, like he taught me something. I'm not saying he's good for fantasy. He homered yesterday, but at one point in his career, when Andrew Benintendi was good with the Red Sox, he was a leadoff guy with steals and a high batting average and like no power. But then he just like that wasn't working for him, and he catches on with the White Sox, and it's at like the midway point or in late 2024 or 3, maybe even, he clearly decided, okay, if I'm going to stay in the majors, I've got to just hit homers because what I'm doing now isn't working. So it's just an approach shift. And with Rosario, maybe that's what happened here. It's like, I got to stay in the show, and what I'm doing now isn't working. Let me try to add some power, gain some weight. Apparently, I don't know. I guess we'd have to go check that, but he's just swinging harder. He's clearly just going for it. So I don't know if he's all of a sudden discovered power. It's just like, okay, I'm going to try to use what I have, and that can work. I mean, for Andrew Benintendi, like, he's not on the list, but I would say he's a kind of a deep league dude to look at. He's leading off for them, so we'll kind of do a little sidebar on Andrew Benintendi. But look at what he's done. I mean, Benintendi 20 home runs in 2024, and I think like half of those were in the last 2 months. And then 2025, he hit 240 with 20 home runs. He pulls the ball in the air. He hits the ball pretty hard. Not a great start this year, 2 home runs, 37% K rate. But point being that some of these veteran guys don't necessarily, it's not because their bodies have changed like growth wise. It's just like they make an approach change, and sometimes that can work. So Rosario, fair point about the playing time. I didn't really look too closely at that, but 12-team league, if you need a second base, third base guy, many such cases, I think like Rosario is worth a look. But another guy, probably a safer bet, Miguel Vargas here. How about him? He's got more walks than strikeouts by 1 or 2 maybe, but 15% K rate for Vargas, 16% walk, 14% barrel. He's a former top-ish prospect. He came up with the Dodgers. It's been a while since that, but he had a decent season last year, and he's off to a good start this year.
Yeah, and it comes in waves. He had a great first week to 10 days, and he was terrible for 2 weeks. And this past week, he's gotten his act together again with a couple home runs and a stolen base. So, you're gonna have to ride the wave with him if that's the guy you want. But we do have a lot of guys here that are definitely third base guys.
Yeah.
And you may be trying to move some things around with all the injuries that have been taking place. Even if it's not at third base, there might be somebody that works at another position. You're going to have to move him off third base. These are definitely some names that you probably want to have.
Yeah. Vargas also looks like career high exit velocities to me. 107, 90th percentile, 111.7 max. Like, he's hitting the ball pretty hard. And again, like, more walks than strikeouts. That's good for your points leagues. He's got a terrible 195 average, which should be about 40 points higher via expectation, but a 336 OBP. So he could be a 340 OBP guy with 15 homers. I mean, he's got 5 already, so looking good there.
He can approach 20 for sure.
Yeah. Nolan Arenado. I wouldn't have done this, but you put him on the list.
Yeah, looks like he's woken up now that he just celebrated his 35th birthday earlier this month, and I think he has 4 home runs in the last week. So, plus they're headed to Mexico, so
right,
put him on the board for at least another one. So, if you've been waiting for that moment to finally get rid of Nolan Arenado, this might be your opportunity to trade him away.
Okay,
there's somebody that might be interested in him, and maybe he's having a renaissance there. People love to retire there. So
true.
maybe this is a golden moment.
Yeah, man, 35. That's how old I am. So, I mean, I would always, like, if I was in a room with Nolan Arenado, I would like call him sir, but I'm probably older. I'm at that age, I guess. So, on the screen is the WOBA and expected WOBA moving average. This takes the WOBA and expected WOBA for the last 15 days. It's right on the hitter profile. I really like this one, but you can see the league average line is there, and he has just gotten over it. So he's an above average hitter over the last 2 weeks, which is good. 4 home runs. And yeah, I mean, he's 262 batting average. That's believable. I don't know. No steals, obviously, but that's something there for Nolan. We're talking about leagues, 12-team leagues or so, where you really need a third baseman. And again, like good guy to add for this weekend, especially. Josh Jung. I was going to look at him this morning and I didn't do it, but he's been hitting well again without much exit velocity, I think. But
he's hot at the moment and healthy-ish, which really is about as healthy as Josh Jung gets. So it's been a long waiting for him to be something. Former first-round pick, toss prospect for the Rangers. But as you can see by the numbers here, he has definitely taken off here in the last couple of weeks. So good news, although as we've mentioned here before, hitting in Texas is not as much fun as it used to be. And been a struggle for the last few years. So we'll see.
I need to get you a park factor refresh in a couple of weeks. We'll see if those numbers are still holding up for Texas, but probably there's been like 15 games in a season in a given park. That's probably the max right now. So probably too early, but that is something I was going to take a look at a couple months into the season if Texas is still playing like that. Talked a lot about that in the offseason, but just with Jung, like a 1.5% barrel rate, he must have more homers than barrels. Maybe that might be a couple barrels, I guess, but 1.5%, that can't be more than 2, right? And 88 plate appearances. So seems a little bit lucky to me, but 17% K rate's good, 300 expected average. He's always been a decent line drive hitter. Good to see the K rate down while still taking a few walks here and there. And not a horrible lineup by any means. So Josh Jung, he was someone that got my attention. Still only 20% owned. By the way, Miguel Vargas was, I think we saw in the screenshot, he was 60-some% owned. So he probably shouldn't have qualified for this. But I threw Brett Beatty on. So Soto's back, Lindor is gone. Beatty doesn't play shortstop, but it does free up. It keeps that spot free for him to continue to play, even though it was a miserable start for him. Has he taken a walk yet? Pull it up. Yes, he took a walk in the last couple of days. He's up to a 4% walk rate. So the plate discipline is about as bad as you can get still. 30% K rate, 4% walk rate. But a home run yesterday to get on the board. He hit 5th or 6th. And with Lindor out, everybody kind of shifts up. I think Francisco Alvarez actually hit 3rd yesterday. But, I don't think they're going to give up on Beatty now. If it weren't for this Lindor thing, I wouldn't have put him here. And again, he's not the logical replacement. I think that's a guy we'll see in the next, which I'm not confident about. But I don't know. Beatty just has so much power. 106.2 EV90. I'll never forget. I guess at some point I'll forget. When I'm 45, I probably won't be thinking about this. But in AAA, he was one of the dudes like leading AAA in exit velocity. That was when he was a big prospect coming up. It hasn't really happened for him yet, but they're committed to him at least enough to where we think he'll play over the next few weeks. And maybe that home run was a sign of something to come. 2B, 3B outfield eligibility, which is super nice as well. And then you got Gary Sanchez and Helio Ramos here. I was surprised to see Ramos on the list because I thought he was going to be owned, but he's ticked under. He's at 49%.
Yeah, he got off to a horrible start. He's had a couple of home runs the last week or so. As a guy who was very talented, and actually they thought he was maybe the 3rd best prospect, but he is outlasted the other 2 that were in front of him for the Giants. He's a guy who's going to get playing time, and still could be something. I think he's only 26, so still has his peak years in front of him. I'm not going to bet the farm on him making all these things happen, but at least he's a little above average. Yeah,
brutal park, but we've seen him do like this decent K rate with a good amount of power. 22 homers in 2024 for Ramos, 21 homers in 2025. K rate was 23% last year. It's a little high this year, but correcting some of that. Even swiped 6 bases last year and the year before. No attempts yet, but you could get a handful of steals from him still. He's got some speed and stuff. So, he's definitely a guy that, like, a year ago, he was drafted in every league. You think he was a top 50 outfielder in fantasy, and a 728 OPS last year, 661 so far, but a couple homers recently. Looks like before yesterday, he was on a 6-game hitting streak, looking a little bit better. So good call out there. Always nice to just take advantage of these guys that people give up on that, you would have liked a while ago. So Gary Sanchez.
I mean, a guy who looked like he was going to be an amazing player. Hit 33 home runs his first full season.
Yeah.
278 looked like he was going to be the guy. And then all of a sudden people are like, oh, he's not a really good catcher. Well, maybe he's not a really good framer, but he can smoke the ball. And that sort of disappeared for a while, bounced around on a bunch of different teams, has had a bunch of injuries. But the magic of Milwaukee working once again. He's hitting home runs. He's still not a great catcher, but with ABS, maybe that's not as big a deal. So an interesting guy who will probably get some playing time on a team that generally outperforms. And if he outperforms what you expect from him, and you're looking for a second catcher or you're in a second catcher league, he would definitely be a guy to be high on the list.
K rate's down, career low so far, 18
look
games.
At the walks.
Yep. Oh yeah. Wow. He's he's more than 4x his walk rate from last year, 23% K, 19% walk rate. I guess, I don't know what that's about. Maybe small sample stuff. Maybe they're just like the pitcher would rather face the next guy in certain situations. I don't know, but 7.2% home run rate. Even in these last 2 years, he's had a home run rate, which is home runs out of plate appearances of above 4%, which is pretty good. So he can do that for you. Definitely not like a top 10 catcher or anything like that, but maybe you're struggling there. Deep league hitters, Ildemaro Vargas. Good season so far for the Diamondbacks, and another short-term Diamondbacks ad.
An amazing start for him. 34 years old. In 13 games, he is on fire, hitting near 400. And headed to Mexico, like we've said. So I don't think this is going to last, but sometimes it's just nice to pick up a guy who will do something for a couple weeks to get you by until you get somebody back from the injured list or something like that.
Yeah, I had like my main league, I had Bryson Stott at second base, and like I dropped him for Jake Cronenworth this week, but I'm going to be needing a second baseman because I don't want Cronenworth. So maybe he's the guy, but he was going to be my Stott replacement a couple weeks ago when I saw this really good start. But then I noticed that he's like 33 or 34. And like that, like I kind of thought he was like a 23-year-old kind of breakout guy. And that's not the case. Doesn't mean he's not a breakout. It happens, but hitting near the top of the lineup, I believe, in second base is just so rough. Like if you got Terang or if you got Horner, you're feeling very good about that because the rest of your league is hurting. But plenty of, if you're in a 12-team league, at least 5 teams probably are desperate for a second baseman, and ride the wave, I guess. The K rate has always been good, but he's hitting home runs this year. No steals this year or last in 60 games or so, 55 games. But there you go. We're talking deep leagues, and the guy can certainly make contact and do some stuff in the Diamondbacks lineup. Eduard Julien. He is caught on with the Rockies, and he's been at the top of the lineup against righties at least. 739 OPS. I think he's cooled off a little bit, but takes walks, 12% walk rate. K rate's not out of control, 9% barrel rate. I don't know. Maybe the Rockies have told him to swing a little bit more. It looks like he's up to a 40% swing rate, which was always in the low 30s. So some good stuff going on with Julien.
He's enjoying the Coors effect, hitting over 300 at home and about 200 on the road. So he's a guy that you want to look at when the Rockies are at home, and he is part of the tune. So yeah, if they're facing right-handers at home, he'd be an interesting guy to pick up, especially since he's sitting, as you said, at the top of the line.
Yeah, should do some run scoring in those games. Brian Rocchio, 3 home runs, 786 OPS, 11% K rate, 11% walk rate. So as many strikeouts as walks for Rocchio. That's plate discipline stuff for him isn't anything new, but the home runs kind of are, right?
Yes, they are. When he was coming up, obviously one of the people that everybody wanted to compare to was Francisco Lindor. He has not become that, but he has picked up the power this season all of a sudden. So where he was single-digit home runs, I could see a world in which he might get to 12 to 15, which makes him an interesting guy to have on your bench, especially on the deeper leagues. He's a guy who has usually second base and shortstop playability. So I think he's going to be playing all season for the Guardians as long as he's healthy. So, and, maybe he gets back to the world where he's stealing 10 bases. So, 15 home runs and 10 stolen bases is not too bad. That's a guy you pick up off the wire.
Yeah, classic Guardians infielder, no power, a lot of contacts, good on base percentage. Although that on base percentage is brand new, 367 this year. It was sub 300 for the first 2+ years of his career. So hard to say. There's a lot of staying power there, but doing some good stuff. Chase Meadroth, speaking of no power, but on base skills at the top of the lineup. What do you think?
Yeah, he's a guy that's been dropped in a lot of places because his playing time is coming into question. Obviously, the White Sox keep bringing up more and more prospects.
Yeah.
He was a prospect last year, a guy who might be interesting to you, especially at second base, 4 points leagues or OBP leagues, because he's going to draw the walks. Like you said, not a lot of power. Speed is okay. I don't see that being a calling card for him. So a guy who I think can fill in spots, especially in the deep leagues, and a guy who probably got dropped in different places over the last week or so.
He just doesn't swing. There's a lot. I'm gonna pull up the lowest swing rates.
Definitely passive.
Wouldn't they tell him, like, can you swing a little bit more? Maybe they like the walks, I guess.
I guess they like the walks. I guess they'd rather have him just on base as opposed to doing nothing.
Austin Martin is dead last in the league in swing rate at 31%. That's so silly. 46% is the league average this year. Taylor Ward, so it works for some guys. Taylor Ward at 32%, Trent Grisham at 34%, Trevor Larnach at 35%, Stephen Kwan at 35%, Yoan Moncada, Yoshida at 36%. And then you do have some good hitters here, Ben Rice, James Wood. So it can work, but like you typically want the low swing rates to be about, okay, I'm going to wait for a pitch I can absolutely destroy. And Chase Meadroth can't absolutely destroy anything, but maybe he just wants to get on base any means possible and use some of the speed he has. He's not really a base stealer either, but a guy that you'll see at the top of the lineup from time to time. We'll have to keep an eye on that because of Antonacci and some other stuff going on in that lineup. But yeah, they definitely need on base percentage. If they're going to win any games, it's like they got 2 good hitters, right? Murakami and Montgomery. But what those guys don't do is get on base or hit singles. So they're kind of just hoping that one of them runs into one every game. And I would imagine
on base.
Yeah. So get a couple walks ahead of them and just hope for the 2 or 3 runs on one swing and hope you can win a game that way. I wonder what the percent of games that one of those 2 has hit a home run, because they've got 13 or 14 combined. So it makes sense. I put a couple walk guys ahead of those 2 boppers, and Meadroth can do that. Good point about the points leagues. He's got a career 340 OBP now, pretty good. But 1 home run, 1 steal this year, 6 home runs and 15 steals in the last 2 years. That's 144 games. So not a lot of category league goodness, but OBP run scoring could happen. Ronnie Mauricio, I threw him on here. He's a speed guy. He doesn't hit. He's never hit in the majors. Is that he's a power guy, right?
Yeah, I think he had 3 home runs in AAA game earlier this week. So
yeah,
coming up at the right time, might be the guy who fills in at shortstop while Lindor is down.
That's why I put him here, because he started at shortstop yesterday. So it's a career in the majors, 29% K rate, 11 steals. So he does a little bit of that, 300 plate appearances. So he's played about a half season in the majors. 234 average, 291 on base percentage, 358 slugging, 650 OPS. It's all bad, but 8 homers, 11 steals. So double that. That's a 16 homer, 22 steal pace. So you can do a little bit of that for a deep league. And keep an eye on the lineups. Who else would even play shortstop for the Mets?
Well, I mean, obviously, Bo Bichette, they signed. They could move him back over to shortstop if they wanted to. They seem to be inclined not to. And in fact, when Lindor, it was a question of whether he was going to start the season or not because of the hamate bone injury. They refused to move Bichette to shortstop. So it looks like they committed to him long time third base. So, yeah, Ronnie is going to get his chance here, at least for a few weeks, to be the shortstop and see what he can do. Like you said, power's there. Speed is there a little bit. Definitely not going to get you OBP or a good batting average, but he will get you the counting numbers. So pretty much the opposite of Chase.
Yeah. So pick your poison there. But take a look at those Mets lineups. We'll see what they do this weekend. That'll give you a good signal on what they're going to do with shortstop. That Bichette thing is a good thing to look for. If they don't play Bichette at short at all this weekend and Mauricio's in there, then I think that's a good sign. But that'll wrap it up. Waiver targets will be an article out here for you as well. Although if you've already listened to this, there wouldn't be any reason to look at the written article. But we got some recap from last week. John writes up the hits and misses from the previous week. So fun tracking stuff there. That'll be it. Thanks for listening. MLBDataWarehouse.com for a lot more. See you later.